All right, good morning, students. We are going to continue with the nervous system, okay, and the fine tunes of nervous system, okay. So till now we have studied what is basically a neuron, how is basically a cell body adjusted, and how things are there in a cell body, okay. So these are some things that we have already understood. Just let me adjust the camera here, okay. So there is an axon part, then there are dendrites, then there is a synapse, okay. All these things that we have studied. Neuron is basically the structural and functional unit of the nervous system. So we have already considered the structure of a neuron. Now we will go into the different parts of the nervous system, okay. So main organs of the nervous system. What are the main organs of the nervous system? We have the brain, we have the spinal cord, and we have the nerves as well, okay. So very much self-explanatory. What are they? Okay, brain is the organ which is located in the brain box or the cranial cavity, and then we have the spinal cord which emerges out of the brain, and then we have the nerves which are branched out to all the different parts of our body, okay. Now what are sense organs? Sense organs like eyes, ears, tongue, nose and skin can be considered as other organs of the nervous system because they help in functioning of the nervous system. So all these are basically sense organs like eyes, ears, tongue, nose and skin, okay. So these are basically the helpers of the nervous system. They help in perceiving the signals, okay. So although they are not the main parts of the nervous system, but they are again the receptors which receive the different perceptions of sight or sound or taste or smell or touch, okay. So all these are different perceptors, okay. So they actually receive and hence they are also known as receptors. So sense organs like eyes, ears, tongue, nose and skin can be considered as other organs of the nervous system. Why? Because they help in functioning of the nervous system. So although they are not the main parts, the main part are the three: brain, spinal cord and the nerves, but these are also a part of the nervous system. So the brain and the spinal cord are connected to all the sensory organs in various parts of the body by millions of nerves. So all these brains and spinal cord are connected to various parts of the body. We have millions of nerves basically, which are connecting the entire brain and the spinal cord to the various parts of the body. Now, if we look at the nerves, how many types of nerves we have? We have something called as the cranial nerves, then we have spinal nerves, and then we have visceral nerves, okay. What are cranial nerves? Cranial nerves connect all the parts of the body directly to the brain. So cranial nerves are basically nerves which connect the parts of the head, basically parts of the head: eyes, nose, tongue, ears, okay. So all these are basically parts which are directly connected to the brain. These are directly connected to the brain. So these are known as cranial nerves. What are spinal nerves? Spinal nerves are the ones which connect all the remaining parts of our body, to the spinal cord. They basically connected to the spinal cord. What are visceral nerves? Now visceral nerves are the ones which connect mainly to the spinal cord with various body parts. Some may also connect to the brain directly. Visceral nerves, we will study what are their functions and how they connect, but some of them connect to the brain, mostly connect to the spinal cord, and some connect to the brain as well, okay. Cranial nerves directly connecting to the brain, spinal nerves we are connecting them to the spinal cord, and visceral nerves are connecting the organs, body organs, to the brain to the spinal cord, and some of them, a very few of them, also connect to the brain as well, okay. Now all these nerves, that is cranial, spinal or visceral, are of two types. One is sensory and the other one is motor, okay. Sensory nerves carry messages from the body parts to the brain and the spinal cord. So sensory nerves basically carry messages from the body parts to the brain and the spinal cord, and motor nerves carry messages from the brain to various body parts for action, okay. So they carry messages from the brain to the various body parts for action, okay. So you can make a note and take a snapshot of the same. All right, we move on to the next thing out here. So we have here sense organs, okay. So basically in case of sense organs, how do we develop this? So the sense organs basically are what? Eyes, ears. So what is the mechanism of the messages? How are they transferred from the sense organs to the brain or the spinal cord and vice versa, okay. So the messages that are received from sense organs, that is eyes, ears, tongue, nose, etc., or skin, okay, they are affected by stimulus. So there is a change in the external environment, a stimulus is received and it sends messages to the brain in the form of electrical impulses. Here we can also talk about the spinal cord. So either the messages will go to the brain or to the spinal cord. Now how do we differentiate the messages which will go to the brain or to the spinal cord? So in actions which require deep thinking, okay, for example, you are attending a lecture or maybe you are reading a book. So these are perceived by your eyes, right? So your eye and ear is involved in that lecture, or maybe listening to a study material via YouTube or whatever. Okay, so your brain and your eyes are involved. Is this requires thinking? So spinal cord involvement will not be there. So as and when you go on through the lecture, or as and when you are just studying through your book, you are assimilating the information. Okay, so the information is getting assimilated, you are decoding it, and now you are ready. For example, if let's say you are studying maths, okay, so once you understood the theorem, once you understood the derivation, now you can do the problems. How will you do the problems? Because your brain has basically decoded it now. Okay, so now it is easy, because these electrical impulses, when you were studying or when you were grasping the information, these electrical impulses passed on to the brain, they have been decoded now, and now you will be able to crack those problems or solve those problems. So this is basically based on this. Okay, however, there are certain impulses which do not require deep thinking. For example, the surface is hot and my hand pulls off from there. Without even looking at it, my hand automatically pulls off the moment it comes near to it or when it touches it. So this message will just pass to the spinal cord. So the messages which require deep thinking, they go to the brain. However, the messages which just require an immediate response, they are sorted out by the spinal cord itself. Okay, so however, the process is same. The stimulus is generated, it sends messages to the brain in the form of electrical impulses through sensory neurons. Now the brain or the spinal cord analyzes and decides accordingly and sends instructions. Analyzing part is not done primarily by spinal cord. So let's say if the surface is hot, our hand just moves off from there. Okay, so deep analyzing is not required, neither do we have the time. It has to be done very quick. Okay, so analyzing part is primarily done by the brain. So whatever information passes on to the brain which requires thinking and then the action needs to be taken, that part is performed by the brain. However, in actions which require an immediate response, okay, they are sorted out by the spinal cord itself. So brain and the spinal cord analyzes and decides accordingly and sends instructions to the muscles of the concerned body part. So whichever muscles. So for example, if I am withdrawing my hand, my muscles out here will contract. The moment they contract, my hand is pulled off. Okay, so the muscles of the concerned body part for taking necessary actions. Okay, and these are through motor nerves. So sensory nerves, they pass on the information from the body part to the brain or the spinal cord, and the instructions that need to be followed from the brain or the spinal cord are passed on through the motor neurons to the concerned body part. So this is a two-way traveling. However, it happens within a fraction of a second. Okay, so spinal cord is involved in simple response which do not require thinking, which we have already understood. The concerned body parts then act as per instructions sent by the brain or the spinal cord. So it's not necessary that only muscles will be triggered. At times certain glands are also triggered. For example, you smell a tasty food, or your saliva will automatically start generating. It means that your body is getting ready to assimilate that food. So in spite of no ingestion of food happening in your body has started to respond to digestion. The digestion process has already started. Okay, so in your brain that the smell of the food is registered. If you see a tasty food or if you smell the tasty food, automatically saliva starts generating. So it can be either muscles which are triggered, or it can be either glands which are triggered. Okay, so both are triggered. So if these are body parts which will generate the necessary action that needs to be taken. So accordingly, the message from the brain or the spinal cord will pass on to these effector muscles or effector glands, and they will take the necessary actions. Okay, all right. So now as you see, the sense organs, they perceive sense. So how is this sense perceived? Okay, so we have certain receptors. Okay, now there are receptors, different types of receptors. So one is called the exterioreceptor, okay, the other one is called the proprioreceptor, and the third one is called the interoreceptor. So basically we have three types of receptors. What are exterioreceptors? They receive stimulus directly from the external environment. So they are the ones which will receive stimulus directly from the external environment. For example, we have something called as a photoreceptor. Photoreceptor means what? As the name itself suggests, photo, which is concerned with light. So obviously it is sensitive to light, okay. So means our eye cells, okay. Photoreceptors, the cells which are receptor to sensitive to light, okay. Thigmoreceptor. Thigmoreceptor is basically sensitive to touch, okay. Thigmoreceptor is basically a receptor which is okay. Thigmoreceptor is basically a receptor which is sensitive to touch, okay. Phonoreceptor, as the name itself suggests, see, you have studied the word phonetics. Phonetics means pronunciation of different words in different ways, okay. So phono means sound, connected with the sound. The word what type of sound it makes is concerned with phonetics. So phonoreceptor means sensitive to sound. These are receptors which are sensitive to sound, okay. Olfactory receptor, as we have studied in science, in chemistry there are certain indicators which are known as olfactory indicators. These indicators are basically indicating whether a compound is a base or an acid by the smell it generates. So it is basically sensitive to smell, okay. Then we have gustoreceptor. Gustoreceptor, as you understand, gastric juice, gusto is basically concerned with the digestion. So gusto is basically the taste, okay. This is a receptor or sensitive to taste, okay. Then we have caloreceptor. Calo, as the name itself suggests, see, a heat is measured in calories, okay. So this is basically heat receptor, okay, the receptor or sensitive to heat. Calo means calories. Calories basically is a unit of heat. So this is heat receptor. Galvanoreceptor, as we have studied in electricity, okay, galvanometer is used. Galvanometer is used to measure direction of current. So galvanoreceptor, which means electric current. Whenever we touch a live wire, okay, that current that is generated, we immediately withdraw our hand. So that is called galvanoreceptor, okay. Galvanoreceptor, which is sensitive to electric current, okay. Then we have proprioreceptors. What is proprioreceptors? These are skeletal muscles, joints, tendons, etc. So these are skeletal muscles or joints or tendons, etc. Because we have these proprioreceptors. See, for example, I need to move now, okay. So maybe I am chased by a dog, so I am running, okay. So without even looking where my feet is, okay, I am able to run. Am I looking where my feet is? Okay, am I looking where my hands are moving? No, I don't have to control them. They are automatically getting controlled. So this is type of proprioreceptors. These are basically the skeletal muscles, joints, tendons. They move in a particular way which is in absolute synchrony, okay. So this foot goes first and this foot goes next. So when I am running, the foots basically adjust themselves accordingly. I don't have to see and coordinate them. For example, when I am writing on the board, obviously I have to see and coordinate, right. But some automatic responses, this is not an automatic response. However, it is done without our conscious effort. We don't see it. Without even seeing them, we know where they are, okay. We know where they are, okay. For example, I am standing right now. I don't have to analyze by looking where am I standing or what is, the approximate distance between my foot. I don't have to do this. I know what is the approximate distance between my foot for which I need to stand comfortably, okay. So these are things which are happening on our own, okay. So these are known as proprioreceptors. They will manage on their own, okay. So interoreceptor, present in internal organs. For example, we have receptors of hunger, okay. When your body is basically getting exhausted of the energy that it has piled up, it generates a hunger stimulus, okay. So then you have to consume something in order to ensure that your energy is adequate to perform various activities which might be internal or external. So these are basically sensitive to hunger. Then we have sensitive to thirst. When your body is running short of water, obviously we say gala sukh raha hai, right. So there is a feeling that is felt in our throat, that our throat is drying up and it needs water. So our body is basically in need of water. So accordingly, see, we do not know what is going on inside our body. What is it in excess or what is it that is in scarcity, okay. So our body has certain requirements of nutrition, certain requirements of water as well. So in all possibilities, at times we get exhausted with these things. So who is the one that will ensure that? So in our there is a feeling for thirst that is generated, there is a feeling for food that is generated. So all these are basically cravings that are generated because of these receptors. Okay, so they are sensitive to hunger, they are sensitive to thirst, they are sensitive to pain as well. So any kind of pain, if you are injured or something, so there is a pain that is there. See, why do we feel the pain? Obviously our body part is injured, but it also is an alarming thing that, okay, don't kind of, you know, stretch that part more, because it will result in more of pain. So for example, if I have a back pain, so the first thing that a doctor is going to advise me is not to lift up something heavy, because that is going to aggravate the pain. So the pain in itself is a declaration that I need to avoid lifting heavy things for the time being. Okay, till it actually gets adjusted, I have to ensure that I am not lifting up heavy things, because that is going to aggravate the pain or make it more severe. Okay, then we have balancing. All these things are basically receptors that are internal. Okay, so these are certain receptors that are there, and I hope it makes it clear. You can take a snapshot of the same while we move on to the next slide. Okay, so we are going to continue with the nervous system. Now we have already seen this division, right? Central nervous system is basically divided into the central nervous system, which is the CNS, and the peripheral nervous system. Okay, so central nervous system is what? This brain and the spinal cord, which is basically the center of the body. So central nervous system. So this is made up of the brain and the spinal cord. We all know this. Peripheral nervous system is basically the branching out, okay, from the central nervous system. So from the brain and the spinal cord, whatever nerves are branching out, those form the peripheral nervous system. Now in many books it is written that central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and autonomous nervous system are the three parts of the nervous system. However, autonomous nervous system is more or less a part of the peripheral nervous system. Okay, so we can also have this division. So nervous system divided into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system is divided into autonomous nervous system and voluntary nervous system. Okay, so if we look into this central nervous system and peripheral nervous system, we have already understood what are the parts of it. Okay, now peripheral nervous system basically contains all the nerves of the body. All the nerves of the body together make up the peripheral nervous system. All the nerves of the body are together making up the peripheral nervous system. Okay, so the body except the head, see jumbled up. Okay, now if you look at the peripheral nervous system, there are three types of nerves of the peripheral nervous system. So the first that we have is the spinal nerves. Now what are these spinal nerves? As the name itself suggests, they arise from the spinal cord. Okay, so arise from the spinal cord and spread throughout the body except the head. Okay, they do not go to the head, they spread throughout the body. Why don't they go to the head? Because in the head in the head we already have cranial nerves. Okay, so they carry both sensory and motor neurons and are described as mixed nerves. Okay, they carry both motor and sensory neurons and are hence described as mixed nerves. Okay, so they are described as mixed nerves. So spinal nerves, they arise from the spinal cord and spread throughout the body except the head, and they carry both sensory and motor neurons. What are sensory neurons? Which perceive the stimulus, okay, which receive the stimulus and carry the message to the spinal cord. And again from the spinal cord, the necessary action is carried on as a message to the motor neurons, so that they can impact or respond to the stimulus. Okay, we have cranial nerves. As the name itself suggests, it arises from the brain and spreads throughout the head. It also carries both motor and sensory neurons. Okay, this also carries both motor and sensory neurons. So these cranial neurons, they basically arise from the head and spread throughout the head. So they carry again both motor and sensory neurons. Then we have visceral nerves. They mostly arise from the spinal cord. Visceral nerves are the ones which mostly arise from the spinal cord, although some part of them also arise from the brain. Okay, some of them also arise from the brain. They are connected to the internal organs of the body and carry both sensory and motor neurons. So they are basically connected to the internal organs of the body. Again, they also have sensory and motor neurons. So all these three nerves that we have, whether they are spinal or whether they are cranial or whether they are visceral, we see that their positions are different. However, all of them are having both set of sensory and motor neurons. Sensory neurons which connect the message from the organ to the central nervous system, and motor neurons which connect or which pass on the message or the decision taken from the central nervous system to the concerned body part. Okay, clear? All right. So we have here actions. What are reflex actions or reflex arcs? We also call them as reflex arcs. The simplest form of response in the nervous system is called reflex action. It's the simplest form of response. Okay, so we'll consider this. So rapid automatic response to a stimulus. It is a very rapid and automatic response to a stimulus which is not under voluntary control of the brain. This is not the brain which is voluntarily controlling it. Okay, so it's a very autonomous response. It is not under direct control of the brain, which requires deep thinking and all. Okay, so it's basically an involuntary action. So it's not on your direct will. Okay, it's an involuntary action. The stimulus produces the same response every time. So every time the stimulus is generated, the response is like a habit. Okay, it's performed like a habit. Okay, so these are very simple reflex actions. We are going to consider them in detail in the next slide that we cover. Okay, so you can take a snapshot of the same.